Welcome to this week's episode of the WMMA Today podcast with your hosts, Drake and me, Steve. On this week, not a whole lot to talk about, but we have a few recaps. The Invicta FC 43 recap, where I pleasantly get to talk about Kayla Harrison. And then we have UFC 255 recap. And then there's some fan questions, then some news, and the UFC Vegas 15 preview with just two fights this week. Not a whole lot of MMA going on, assuming it's because of the holidays here in the United States. People are hanging out with their families and whatnot. But we will start out with the Invicta FC 43 recap, where Kayla Harrison made her Invicta debut and her 145 debut, and she absolutely mauled a woman. It was beautiful. It was amazing. Loved it. I'm massive fan of Kayla Harrison and what she does. I love how she fights. She's just so fucking aggressive. I love her judo throws, like everything, like literally the whole package. I feel like she's, tell me if I'm crazy or whatever. I mean, I'm pretty crazy, but
Yes.
tell me if I'm crazy with this idea where she's kind of the new breed of Ronda Rousey, the judo fighter turned MMA fighter. She's like the new breed. Ronda Rousey, she did her judo and whatnot. She turned it into arm bars. She won that way. She was obviously the champion in Strikeforce at the UFC. But Kayla Harrison, she does more than just the judo throws and then turning it into an armbar. Dude, this girl mauls. She throws heavy fucking bombs. It's amazing. Like, Drake, you know how much I love Ronda Rousey, and like she's literally the one who got me into women's MMA. Appreciating women's MMA. Of course, I saw Gina Carano and Chris Cyborg prior to her and stuff like that. But Ronda Rousey is the one who got me to appreciate women's fighting. So Kayla Harrison, I feel, could be the Ronda Rousey for the newer generation of kids who are watching, or young adults who are watching MMA, women's MMA right now. If she goes to like Bellator or even the UFC, which I don't see happening in the UFC, but Bellator, even Invicta, if she continues the path that she's on now, she's a star. She's a fucking star. Do you agree?
I mean, she's already been, a pretty decent star, I would say, especially, for the PFL, one of their, if not their biggest star.
PFL doesn't draw in those numbers like what Bellator does.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. PFL is definitely not, it's not number two, right? Let's put it that way. It's not, they're not Bellator yet. Bellator's been around a lot longer, just a bigger promotion, all of that stuff. But Kayla Harrison, yeah. I mean, it's pretty easy to make those comparisons to Ronda. Obviously shown to be a lot more versatile. I don't know if I would say she's the perfect example of the new breed, just because we've seen a lot of, good credentialed judo players make the crossover since Ronda, like, Kana Watanabe comes to mind, Velasquez, even Denise Keelholtz. Like, of course, their judo might not have been to that same level, but
they're not at the same level. Ronda Rousey and Kayla Harrison.
Yeah. I mean, these are
Kayla Harrison is a legit judo player. Like, she's one of the best ever.
Yeah, I mean, probably the best, right? I mean, 2 gold medals, right? So,
yeah, I mean,
hard to argue.
Yeah, you're right. She's probably the best female judo player, judoka ever. But also, the comparison comes because Ronda Rousey is women's MMA. She's like the face. She's the face of women's MMA. Like her or not, whatever. She's the face of women's MMA. She's who people either tuned into because she was so damn good. Like she was it was kind of like Mike Tyson, watching Mike Tyson fight. Like, is she gonna finish this fighter quickly? With an armbar again for like the 20th time. You know, Mike Tyson was the same way. Is he gonna when's he gonna finish this his opponent? What round? 1, 2, 3. Is it gonna happen then? I see Kayla Harrison the same way. Like she's ready for the big 145ers.
You finally agree with my cyborg idea.
Well, okay, so I don't. All right, so Chris Cyborg obviously is a huge fight, a massive fight for Kayla Harrison. I love the fight. Would I want to see her fight somebody that is right below Amanda Nunes, Chris Cyborg? Yeah, I think I do. Like a Julia Budd. I would love to see her fight Julia Budd.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely a very interesting fight, and I mean, one, it's good to do something like that. Let's say she does go to Bellator next, something to just help further expose her to the audience, their audience, before setting up that title fight, which is the ultimate goal, of course. And I thought about this too after watching the fight and everything. I totally forgot because we talked about the potential of like Kayla versus Nunes or something like that, but I forgot that they're training partners, so I don't know if that's actually realistic. Totally
Right.
forgot about that completely. So, and we know that Kayla's talked more about Cyborg, I think, than Nunes, which makes sense, obviously, for the reasons I just said. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, I think that definitely Kayla needs a good step up in competition if we can get her one. Of course, we talked about Pam last week and everything, but just because, yes, this was quite a mauling and everything, but to be honest, I don't know, I didn't feel like her striking looked too amazing in this fight. Which, not like she needed it to be, but I mean, just seeing how she looked on the feet against somebody like Courtney King, who Courtney King, of course, a decent prospect and everything, but not the same as like the best featherweights, like Julia Budd or let's say, Felicia
Well,
Spencer, Megan, those ones.
you already said Pam Sorensen. That would
Yes,
be
Pam.
a great fight because I mean Pam Sorensen is one of the best female fighters in any division right now. She's one of the best. She doesn't get the love that she deserves. That would be a phenomenal fight, I feel. Do we
Yeah.
see it? I don't know because supposedly PFL is coming back in April or whatever. I would assume that PFL, once they get started going again, Kayla Harrison's going to be on the first card. She's there. She's the face of that company, other than Rory McDonald, who has yet to even fight for
Yeah, I
PFL.
put Lance Palmer over Rory at this point.
How wild is it that Rory McDonald still has yet to fight for PFL?
Yeah, he's been probably fucked the hardest out of the whole situation.
Right, I agree.
But yeah, it's I'm very curious to see, Kayla against, because she wanted to show off her striking more. She said that afterward, and she's kind of, I think she always wants to do that. It seems like, because we know and she knows that she's good on the ground where she can win. So she wants to show that, she can do more than just that, which that's one hell of an attitude. So I mean, I think, let's say she stays with Invicta first for now. I mean, she said she wants to fight in Invicta until until PFL's back and everything. So
which is only in April. That's 5 months away.
yeah, and I mean,
So
depending
can they
on
get her? Can they get
how
her
many-
going? Can they get her another fight in what? Because they do every other month, so it would be January.
I mean, one or two maybe, depending on the Invicta
Depending-
schedule.
Yeah,
But
depending on them.
I like the idea of Caitlin Young versus Kayla, because I think that Caitlin on the feet right now probably tunes her up pretty good, picks her apart. But then, it just to see, you would see if Kayla would go out there and be like, if she'd stick to trying to strike or revert to what she's best at. Because on the ground, of course, she would beat Caitlin easily, but on the
She would
feet,
beat it. She would beat anybody not
yeah,
named Chris Cyborg or Amanda Nunes
yeah,
at this point on the ground.
yeah, exactly. So I want to see her against a really good striker next, or I mean, a notable, good striker, and I mean, Caitlin
Yeah,
Young is definitely that striking Viking for a reason.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, a good featherweight debut for Kayla, obviously.
She gets me hyped, dude. Like, man, her face, like when she saw her bloody, when she saw how bad uh Courtney King was, she was like, "Oh shit!" Like
Yeah,
that face that she made. She's legit, dude. She's so good.
I mean, I said pretty early on, fuck it, let's throw her against Cyborg. Pretty early on, I was feeling, but I mean
Man,
that's just because that was simply because of her judo, and so these recent couple of these recent wins for me, they haven't really done much for me compared to what I've been seeing from some reactions on like on Twitter and stuff. People super impressed with his performance. Not really. I'm not too impressed with it because I kind of knew that she could do this, and it was to be expected. Courtney King is not probably not even her best opponent that she's had so far. So I mean, it's like I think people kind of freaked out over this one a lot more than they should have. But maybe it's because of the elbows, the blood, which I'm sure totally helped play into it. But I don't know. This is
oh yeah,
probably
she
not
mauled
her
her.
most impressive win, in my
She
opinion.
completely mauled her. What sucks is in that tournament we never got to see her fight Sarah Kaufman.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
That
Sarah
was the one
Kaufman
we
also
wanted
would have been undersized against Kayla Harrison, but still, Sarah Kaufman would have been her best opponent
easily.
up to that point. I mean, Sarah Kaufman's a very good fighter,
Yeah,
so it kind of sucks that we didn't see that matchup. I think she probably would have given Kayla kind of a fit, you know. But
standing up for sure.
oh yeah, standing up for sure. But then again, Kayla would go back to her roots and do her thing, just like what she does against everybody else. But that's what I'm saying is, I I agree. Pam Sorensen would be a fun fight. Young would be a fun fight if she sticks with, um, if she sticks with Invicta. Um, that would be fun. I agree. I like it. Um, we'll see though. We'll see what happens with
Choo choo! Is that the Hamzat train coming through?
the Kayla, it's the
The
Kayla
Kayla
Harrison
train.
train. Yeah. We'll see what happens with Kayla Harrison and her scheduling.
Yep. That we will. That we will. So bummer that we lost Ruiz and Dakota, but
Dude,
but
dude, man, we were both bummed. Like
I was so upset.
we both sent out tweets, and it's
Yeah, that sucked. But I mean,
yeah,
overall card still delivered. I
the
thought,
Kayla
and I
train.
mean,
The Kayla train.
no, not even the Kayla train, the Geltmacher train, my man. Come on,
Okay.
come
Okay.
on,
Yeah,
Stephanie
she
Geltmacher,
put it
everybody.
on. She put it on that poor girl.
That was fantastic, and I did not see that coming. I mean, neither of us did. I mean, we knew that we both picked Geltmacher. I think that we were only wrong on. I forget what our picks were, but we got the Lipsky one wrong, which is sad, and we'll get to that later.
Oh yeah,
But
Lipsky.
yeah, didn't expect. We expected Geltmacher. Expected this to be pretty fun because Geltmacher fights are. But geez, awesome highlight for her resume. Yeah, yeah. Any thoughts on that? The Geltmacher train.
Oh yeah. Well, she's a monster. But we knew that already. Like
Yeah,
we we should have said that she was gonna win in the first round. Like we by punches. Like we should have known. Like looking back at it, we should have known that was gonna happen. She's a beast.
well, I mean, she's known for her wrestling background and everything. So I mean, this just shows her evolution. So I still don't think it would have been something I predicted because we hadn't seen that yet. So now going forward, yeah,
Now, yeah, actually, now we can go back
no,
and be
yeah,
like, okay, Galtmacher's gonna put it on someone.
exactly,
But
exactly. And then
she's definitely a fun one to watch
great prospect.
at 125.
Yeah, without a doubt.
She can
And
be a
then,
champion. She can be a champion. You can see her as a champion, right?
yeah, no, she's definitely got all the potential to.
Yeah,
Um, Very high on Geltmacher and always one to watch, I would say. So then Hope Chase at Bantamweight too continues doing her thing. I mean, intensity, intensity personified.
crazy.
That
Like
woman.
she's a little fucking beast, isn't she?
Yeah, and Brittany Cloudy. We were talking about, not the worst fighter ever either. I mean, I've been enjoying me some Brittany Cloudy fights, the ones leading up
Yeah,
to this, and going back up to bantamweight. Just yeah, just couldn't. She had some moments in this one, but it was the Hope Chase show for the most part, and
for
found
sure.
that rear naked, which was good.
Yeah, this card was really fun, huh? Like it was pretty entertaining. Sucks that we didn't get to see that.
Oh, that would have been
Cody.
such a great
Cody,
ending to it.
yeah,
Such a good cap off to it.
yeah.
Penning and Culp was a really fun one. I don't agree with the decision, but I thought it
Oh, you
was
oh you
very
had Cole
fun.
beating Penning.
Yeah, I thought that she did get the win there, and I mean, but she came out so aggressive early on. I was like, all right, here we go. It's about to be crazy. Fun fight either way. I don't think it was a robbery necessarily, but I did think that Culp got it done. But yeah, it's still early for both of them in their careers, so not losing at that stage is not the biggest deal, especially when they both looked fine either way. But yeah, I just thought that Culp edged it out there.
It
So
was a nice it was a nice debut for Megan Penning. And if you haven't yet, go check her out on Instagram. It's worth your time. She's worth your time. I believe.
did you see how Moni tweeted? Shout out to Moni. She's like, "Oh, I forgot to look at her Instagram like right before
Yeah,
the fight started."
yeah, yeah, she did, and I posted a picture, and she commented.
That's hilarious. Oh man, but what about the opener though? Juliana Miller, that was an awesome armbar that she hit.
Crazy armbar, yeah, that was beastly.
It was very nice.
Yeah,
It was very nice, and obviously you could tell she trains with Alima, so that was an excellent finish to open the card. So,
and I came into this week thinking that we were going to talk about Alima Lay McFarlane, and then I realized,
uh,
yeah, it's
next
December.
week
Shit, it's
or
December
not?
10th.
Not
Yeah,
next week. Excuse me.
yeah,
It's
it's
2 weeks.
2 weeks away.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking that it was this week, and I was like hyped for it.
I
Talk
know. I
about Alima
can't
Lay.
wait. Cannot wait for that. So, but yeah, a solid Invicta show, I would say.
So fun, man. It's it sucks that they lost the title the title fight. I mean, but it wasn't any either girl's wrongdoings. They both made weight. They were both good to go. Um, it was due to COVID. They just Invicta didn't want to put them in a fight because somebody from one of the camps was close to Invicta or close to COVID. COVID was kind of somebody uh,
Exposed or something like
exposed.
that.
Yeah, there was some kind of exposure to it. They just didn't feel comfortable, which is totally fine. It sucks. I mean, it sucks for both girls. Obviously, they went through the whole camp. They went through the weight cut. They made it to the weight cut. They made it to put on weight, and then that the day of the fight, literally like 2 hours before the card started, or something like that, maybe an hour before the card started, they said that it was off, which sucks. But they did promise that it'll be rescheduled. They said that it'll be rescheduled, and it's gonna be a banger. Just I'm assuming that we'll see it for the next Invicta card.
That's what it sounds like, and same with the flyaway title fight, because we were supposed to have two on this card. Remember, we were supposed to have two that
And we
we
might,
lost.
so we might get those two plus Kayla Harrison again.
Yep, very possible. So
Mm-hmm.
we will see. But
Anticipation for Invicta. God, I love Invicta, man.
good, you'll love to see it. But yeah, and then we rolled on to UFC
Do we
flyweight.
really have to talk about this?
Yep.
So, all right. So Valentina Shevchenko beat Jennifer Maya unanimous decision 49-46. Maya ended up winning maybe round two,
What do you
but
mean, maybe?
she did. She did. But other than that, Valentina Shevchenko was pretty dominant. Um, but Maya showed that Valentina is hittable, I guess. Like she's uh you can put it on her a little bit, but then of course Shevchenko's just a fucking monster. She's one of the best champions in entire MMA world. Um, Male or female, gender doesn't matter. Valentina Shevchenko is just so good. She's so good.
Yeah, I mean, solid performance from her again. I would say a championship performance because of how she kind of had to. I don't want to say battle back, but she had to come on stronger as the fight went on because Maya was having her moments, which doesn't surprise me at all. And everybody who knows about Jennifer Maya should not be surprised, as we had been talking about all the way up until this fight. Everybody was like, "Whoa, this fight's competitive," which I would say it's more competitive. It was more competitive than most Valentina fights, but yes, she
Oh
did
shit!
clearly win.
People are used to seeing her fucking head kick Jessica I
But
and
that's not even what she does all the time, Steve. We know she's not the killer knockout artist everyone makes her out to be, remember?
yeah, but I mean that's what people are used to now. It's the recency bias thing in MMA, especially in the
Highlight
sport,
bias, yeah.
especially in the sport of MMA. MMA is terrible for bias. It is so bad. Like
Oh,
I know, like you and I are big time Packer fans and stuff like that. We get behind a team, but that's a whole team of 52 people. It's pretty crazy when there's people that are talking about Chimaev being a champion soon. Like that dude has literally fought 3 times in the UFC, and his opponents are not that good. And they're talking about championship caliber and stuff like that. Hold on, pump the brakes. MMA MMA fans are just another level of fucking ridiculous.
yeah, definitely. We could go on and on about it, and we have before. So, yeah, MMA fans definitely a unique bunch. I will put it that way without getting too off the rails here. But yeah,
Yeah, I could say a hell of a lot more if you
definitely.
want me to.
I mean, yeah, Jennifer Maya, not a surprising performance from me. I hoped that she could pull it off just for the story of
It'd
everything,
be
and
fun. Yeah.
having watched her career and being the former number one in the world, and I mean, this was really a clash of like the eras of the flyweight division, the former best versus the now best, and played out as it should have. Really, it shouldn't have been any more competitive, any less competitive. Maya had success on the feet, landed some good shots, but just overall wasn't as effective in the striking. Had some good moments in the grappling, which we totally knew was possible, and that not really couldn't find any submission threats, which was problematic for her, of course, but still good control in certain moments and whatnot. And then she got controlled a bit herself. So I mean, it was a really enjoyable fight. I thought even though Maya lost, still pleased with it, just because it shuts people up a little bit about their blind recency bias about Valentina being this killer who gets all these crazy highlight reel finishes when really it's just the head kick against Jessica I, who it's Jessica I, just to put it bluntly, and then the Priscilla Cachoeira, beat down, which was way too long, and that fight never should have been made in the first place. Those are the two things people like to remember, but you got to think about all the fights in between, everybody. And remember that we don't see those kind of performances too often from her, as good as she is. She's a technical wizard, not a fucking, knockout machine. so, so yeah, good.
But she is a Russian spy.
She is also a Russian spy, though. So that is we got to do something about that. But I don't think anybody wants to interfere. That's a tricky business.
Did you see that post that she posted? James Bond,
I don't think so.
the social media post where she's actually looking really great. It's kind of a far away picture where she's in a tight black dress. No,
Maybe I saw that. Did you have the belt?
I don't think so.
I saw one where she was on the stairs or something. So maybe
Maybe it was that one.
I don't know.
Maybe it was. I don't remember. I don't remember seeing the belt in that picture. I wasn't. To be honest, I wasn't paying attention to the belt.
Oh man. All right. Anyway, moving on to the rest of the flyweight action right before this on the main card. Yes.
Yeah. So Caitlin Chikagian boringly beat Cynthia Calvillo by unanimous decision, 30-27. She did her Caitlin Chikagian thing where she was boring as fuck.
How dare you, sir? I mean, I'm not saying that this fight was amazing or anything, but I'm just like, I respect the Chikagian. And I mean, okay, so first of all, I cannot believe. I don't think we talked about that she was the underdog going into this fight, did we? I don't remember talking about that.
Oh yeah, I brought up the odds.
Really? Okay, I don't remember that because I remember being surprised on fight. And I was like, really? She's a plus 200? I was like, that is just so silly because, okay, this fight played out exactly as it should have if Calvillo didn't get a takedown or go for one, which she didn't really, which was terrible fight IQ. It was very similar to Montana De La Rosa against Viviane Pereira, or no, not Pereira, Araujo. So, I mean, yeah, we knew that Chikagian was the better striker the whole time. Calvillo tried to stick with that or just couldn't get comfortable enough to go for the takedowns, I guess. But
yeah, that was just a shitty performance by Calvillo.
Yeah, it was definitely underwhelming for what we know that she is capable of. Like, this is where we were split. I picked Chikagian in this one pretty much for these exact reasons. Was as long as Chikagian avoided the takedown, I felt pretty comfortable about it.
But I mean, Calvillo didn't go for a takedown.
Yeah, so I mean, didn't help herself.
Yeah, she stayed at jab length. Like, she got fucking jabbed for 3 rounds. Like, there was nothing there for Calvillo. She didn't do herself any favors by not going in. She should have went in. Like, at least go for a takedown. Push her up against the cage, take her fucking legs down, and sit her on her ass, and then fucking mount her or something, and put
especially towards the end when she's down.
She had opportunities to do it. Instead she wanted to circle around. Instead she circled around in the middle of the cage. Like, that's not what you want to do against Caitlin Chikagian. Caitlin Chikagian will outpoint the fuck out of you.
Yeah, and one of the most mobile strikers out there.
That's her game. That's literally what she does.
Yeah. I know this was an absolute vintage Chikagian performance. I mean,
yeah, for sure. So, Yusuf said that Caitlin Chikagian is a little underrated.
Unbelievably.
I don't think she's not underrated, dude. She's ranked number 1. How's that underrated?
By okay, not by the UFC, but by everybody else. No one gives her respect ever.
She's boring.
Okay, but still, she's good. She was the underdog against Antonina, dude.
She's decent. She's not good. She's decent.
Jeez, you have totally flipped.
Lauren Murphy would put it on that girl. The second
he lost to Chikagian.
That was 2016. Okay, so if we're gonna go back to 2016 or further than that, we're gonna say that Dustin Poirier and Conor McGregor is gonna be the same fight.
No, I do think that it would be. I would love to see that rematch. I think they should. I don't want to say they should do it next, but I like it. Yeah. No, yeah. I don't know. Either way, I agree with you.
I think we would be split on that one too. I would pick Lauren Murphy. Obviously, I mean, I like what Lauren Murphy has been doing these past what?
4.
Well, before that, she's only lost 2 fights in the UFC. She won the Nico Montano fight,
Ultimate Fighter.
which was the Ultimate Fighter, and then what? Chikajian, I guess,
She
which
lost
was
to Sarah McMahon in her
or Sarah
debut.
McMahon. Okay, Sarah McMahon. So she's only lost like twice in the UFC or something like that. I don't
A
know.
couple of times, I think, but
Yeah, a couple of fights.
our chat is just insane right now. But what was I gonna say? No, yeah, I would probably pick Murphy in the rematch, honestly, because she's really looking great right now. But I mean, I think it would still be good and close. I just think that she's changed things up a lot more probably since that rematch, and she will have learned from the rematch more than Chukagian. I think that fight was even short notice, but I don't know. I think it's very intriguing. It's practically a new fight at this point, so
It is a new fight.
either way, okay, maybe Chukagian isn't underrated necessarily, but I think she's absolutely underappreciated by a lot of fans just because they don't like her fighting style or whatever, which I understand. But I mean, hey, she fights smart and don't break your game plan if it's working, right? I mean, she's not doing anything wrong, which I love that she called out some trolls for that recently. I mean, if it's working, man. So yeah, that was that one, and we
Boring.
did we did mention
They took a nap
other
during
one.
that fight,
Took a nap, he says.
and this fight made me cry.
This one was upsetting.
Antonina, Antonina Shevchenko beat my love Ariane Lipsky. Second round, you can see there she just fucking put it on her. She took her back the way that I would love to,
Jesus.
but Antonina just put it on Lipsky, and we didn't really get to see the Violence Queen, the Queen of Violence, or whatever the fuck. I don't really want to talk about this fight. I'm gonna go back to crying.
It was definitely
Okay, that card fucking sucked for my heart. Like it started with Lipsky and then Shogun. Like I'm not gonna get into Shogun, but fuck Paul Craig, dude.
Paul Krieg. It's my
Fuck.
favorite, probably my favorite name to say with the Scottish
man.
accent. Hey, be mad at the UFC for making that rematch. Yeah, this was definitely a continuation of sadness in terms of the UFC run for Lipsky. Because, we thought she finally got on track, was gaining some momentum, which she was. These were both, things that were happening. But man, just continues to be exposed in terms of her ground defense, which is practically not a thing. And I mean, she was actually winning on the feet. I think she was landing much better shots than Antonina. I mean, obviously, so much so that Antonina didn't want to stand with her anymore, right? So, I mean, it's one of those things where, man, Lipsky really needs to go back to the drawing board in terms of her ground game. We know that if she's feeling comfortable and in the zone on the feet, she can, put it on anybody for the most part. And Antonina, of course, she's showing some evolution in her ground game, which seemed to be kind of the big thing people were talking about after this fight, which, yes, she has and is showing evolution in her grappling. But okay, it's not super impressive because we knew that Lipsky wasn't the best grappler, and I mean this further shows that she really needs to work on stuff. So yes, impressive by Antonina, but not as much I think as people were making it out to seem. And
Well, I mean, Lipsky, we just didn't see Lipsky, like this was a terrible fight from her. Like she didn't do shit. She let Antonina just.
You don't think she landed better shots while it was on the feet? I thought so.
No. She was definitely the better striking fighter. But then she it ended up like this. Like it was fucking terrible.
Yeah, she just needs to work on that, obviously. So it's a bummer. It's a bummer for it's similar to Maya, and not in the case of like getting excited for somebody who's had this journey before the UFC and they finally get there and maybe not played out as much as it has. Of course, it's been better for Maya than Lipski to this point by a decent amount. I mean, Maya earned herself a title shot and everything, but yeah, just a bummer, just a bit of a bummer in terms of following things and everything, following fighters and whatnot. I mean, so yeah, we'll move on from that. UFC 255 flyweights. Well, that's a wrap on it. Let's get out of that.
Okay, so Cody's asking who the Scrap is. It's at the Scrap News on Twitter. I'm gonna put it in the chat so that you can follow them. Good outlet. Follow on YouTube as well. They put out good video.
Cody doesn't even know who we are.
It's all right.
Appreciate you anyways, sir.
Yep. Who are these two running it? It's right there, buddy. Steve K MMA, and then at Drake Riggs _. Yes. Follow us. I welcome the shit talk. If you're a friend of Aaron, you're a friend of mine, because Aaron is my pal.
And speaking of Aaron, fan questions time. Bum bum bum. Bum bum bum.
Yeah. Okay.
Pulling it up. I got it.
Okay.
Right there.
Okay. So Aaron at FWM _pod asked, who is Aaron Jackson in the chat, asked, this past weekend saw something rare in MMA. Both Shevchenko sisters winning. After the fights, Valentina was talking to Heidi Amdral in the back and hinted that we may see both sisters holding belts. What do you think this means? And is this cryptic message proof that she's a spy?
I think she is a spy. We discussed this.
She's 100% a spy. Like I think everybody knows that. Aaron, you know that. I know that. Drake knows that. Yusuf knows that. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that Valentina Shevchenko is a spy. She's definitely KGB, right? So
at the very least.
Yeah. So what do we think about her saying that we may see both sisters holding belts? Well, I mean, I think that maybe Antonina could go up in weight.
I actually
because Valentina's not going. She's probably talking about Antonina like fighting or fighting Whaley or something, like some crazy shit.
I mean, I think that would be more realistic than bantamweight for sure. Yeah, I actually didn't see this. Was it the interview in the back or whatever? So I didn't know about these comments until you brought it to us, my friend. But yeah, the most realistic scenario I would see for that to happen would be, let's say Valentina vacates and goes back up to bantamweight and then manages to dethrone Nunes in a trilogy fight. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. But either way, I don't see, one, Antonina becoming champion, and two, Valentina beating Nunes. So I don't see that happening. But if it was to get close to happening, I think that's the path they'd have to go. I feel like strawweight would be a hell of a cut for Antonina. And we've seen her at bantamweight before, but it's a similar case to where the styles do not favor her whatsoever in the top 10. She would get eaten alive by the top 10 at bantamweight. So yeah, that's how I feel about that.
Yeah, I mean that's was my exact thought process. Was
it's the only thing that makes sense, unless they make an intercontinental title.
Was that we've seen Antonina go up or fight at bantamweight, and she was fine. There's no way in hell that girl is fighting at 115.
Yeah, it seems like a bit of a stretch. I mean, she's like 5'8", yeah.
Yeah, she's lengthy. Like, she already is skinny as shit. She's not like a bulky fighter at all. She doesn't. Valentina has a little bit thicker thighs, you know. She's a little bit thicker on the bottom half. Antonina doesn't have any kind of thickness whatsoever. So if anything, it's her going up to 135 again. But like you said, who's she gonna fight at 135? She would be underweight. She would be one of the smaller fighters. Who's she gonna be? She's not beating Amanda Nunes at any point. There's no fucking way. Amanda Nunes will beat her striking. She'll beat her on the ground. It doesn't even matter. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I don't. What she's talking about is, I'm assuming, what fighting at 115, but that weight cut would not be good. She would be a skeleton fighting at 115.
Yeah, I don't think that's likely. So, yeah, I'm sticking with the Valentina vacating type idea. But Yusuf throws out interim, which I guess that's a good point. But if that's what Heidi meant, that's, no offense to her, I got nothing wrong with her or anything. But if that is what she meant, that's a stupid line of thinking. Like, like, hey, you guys, they can make an interim title just for, who knows what it is, but it's
so. Talking about Heidi Amdral, did you see at the beginning where she was in the cage and she was barefoot? Felt like kind of
the beginning of the whole show.
Yeah, where
I missed that.
I don't remember if it was if it was during the pay-per-view or if it was like during the prelims. But at some point, Heidi Amdral was in the cage and she was talking. She was on the mic talking about what was happening. I don't remember. And she was barefoot. I was like, dude, that's weird. Like, we don't see.
Yeah, a bit bizarre that they'd kind of let that happen, especially right now.
Yeah. We would never see Laura Senko barefoot, right?
I mean, unless she's fighting.
Yeah, exactly. Unless she goes back to fighting. But, I mean, we would never see her in the contender cage barefoot.
Yeah.
Found that kind of weird. But anyway, that was off topic. Her name came up in that.
Yep. It happens. The brain goes where it goes. And we'll answer this, Aaron. Of course, this is a podcast about the women's fighters.
We answer all questions, though. My biggest question for the boys is, can Figgy crack top 5 at bantamweight?
Boy, that's a great question. Bantamweight's just so fucking good, dude. Like, I don't know. I mean, I think yes, he could, because just how good he is. But I mean, I would not at all bet on that because bantamweight is loaded. Yeah, I mean, probably. I would say yes, but man, it's hard. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. I think he's shown to be good enough to, I think, pull that off. But it's a toughie.
Yeah. So I'm gonna pull up the rankings really quick, and then we can go off of the rankings to where who he can beat in the rankings, in the bantamweight rankings. Okay, it's loading right now, and we have the rankings up. Obviously, Peter Yan is the champion. Aljamain Sterling is number 1. Can he beat Aljamain Sterling? Backpack.
I mean, yes. So he could beat any of them, right? But I think that Sterling's probably the worst matchup for him. I mean, we've seen him have, his one loss is to Formiga, who controlled him in the grappling. Sterling could definitely do the same thing. And then even, Jared Brooks had some success against Davison. Yeah, that's a really rough matchup. I would pick Sterling in that one.
Yeah, that's a tough matchup. Okay, so number 2 is Corey Sandhagen.
Oh, that's a fucking great fight. Man, Sandhagen impressed the hell out of me.
Somebody's getting swept in that fight.
Yeah, they are. Sandhagen impressed the hell out of me in that Moraes fight. So,
yeah, I agree.
I'd have to take Corey in that one too. But just the reach, man, a big length difference.
I agree, but I think I'm going Figgy in that fight against Corey Sandhagen. I think that I'm going Sterling just because of just because of how good he is, like on the grappling. But also we don't see anybody fucking grapple Figueredo. We just don't. He doesn't give anybody the opportunity. I think Aljamain Sterling would have that opportunity because he's bigger. He's the bigger fighter. Um,
Yeah, a lot of these guys will have length on him.
yes, absolutely. All of the bantamweights, other than maybe Marias, would have length.
Yeah,
And
depends.
then, so the next one is Marias, who's ranked number 3. Figueredo beats Marias, right?
Yeah, I'd probably make that bet on that one. But it's so easy to forget how good that Marlon is, especially after that last loss. Marlon is still very, very good. I think it
Yeah,
would
if
be
he goes back to like those leg kicks and
oof.
stuff, right? Those leg kicks would be the game changer for him. But again, Figueredo is so quick, and he's lethal with his striking. So I think that Figueredo would probably beat Marias because of the quickness factor. It would be a fun fight, though. Number 4 is Cody Garbrandt, which we should have seen. We should have seen that fight, right? That would have been a much better fight than Alex Perez.
No, no, we never should have saw that. Was bullshit to even be made in the first place.
It would have been. Do
Figueredo
you
would have
not agree
iced
that
him.
it would have been
So
a better fight than Alex Perez? Though Alex Perez showed nothing. That should have
he
been
looked solid for a while it lasted.
for a while. It lasted. Brandon Moreno should have been in that fight. That should have been Brandon Moreno's fight.
Well, he's got it now.
Oh man, my heart for Brandon Moreno, dude. I want him to win. I don't think that he's gonna beat Figgy, but I want Moreno to win that
It's gonna
fight.
be awesome. It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah. Okay. So number 5 is Frankie Edgar. What do you think about Frankie Edgar?
Figueredo.
He's past the twilight of his career. If it was old Frankie Edgar, he would be Frankie Edgar. Frankie Edgar might win that fight, right?
Yeah,
But
but
I mean, we're not seeing the best Frankie Edgar anymore.
he's really that high now. I mean, I guess makes sense with the Munoz win, but I don't think he should have got the win in that one. So yeah, I definitely
Okay, so we'll go back champ
Figueredo.
versus champ.
Okay.
Figueredo versus Jan.
Uh, probably Jan. It's the safe choice. It's the safe choice. I think that one's quite interesting too, though. But oh, that one would be really fun. But yeah, I gotta go with slight lean towards Jan. It's just hard because
So Jan has that power, right? Like we've seen the power from Jan, but Figueredo, dude, again,
into
quick as fuck.
submissions.
He's quick as fuck. He's like fucking speedy around the cage. Like you can't catch him. He's hard for an opponent to catch.
Yeah.
Peter Yan he'll be slower. The thing about all of these bantamweights, they're gonna be slower. They would be slower than Figueredo. That's what Figueredo would have in his favor is the speed. Plus, he has that punch power. He can fight at 135. He walks around at like 150. The dude is massive when he's not actually like in weight cutting time. He's a big dude.
Yeah. And he looks shredded every time he's at flyweight.
He's so like, he's big. That's why I'm saying, like, man, to see him fight a bantamweight would be amazing. If he runs through Moreno, I'm assuming that we'll see Jan and we'll see Aljamain Sterling fight at some point in 2021 now. That fight's off, unfortunately, which sucks, dude. That card is taking a hit, man. There have been 3 championship fights on that card that are no longer. Amanda Nunes and Megan Anderson, unfortunately. Peter Yan and Aljamain Sterling. And then what was the other one? Ooh, there was a third one.
I mean, they talked about Burns and Usman.
Burns and Usman. That's what it was. Yeah. Sucks. But good question. That was not even part of the Twitter questions. Love it. Love it.
Rolling on here.
Okay, so we're moving on to head kick audio. Steve, what do you do with winners and losers from 255, and you think Kayla stays in PFL? Yeah, we kind of touched on Kayla Harrison at the beginning. She's gonna stay with PFL. She's there. She's gonna fight in April. PFL is gonna kick off again in April at some point. Until then, she's going to fight in Invicta, I would assume, right? Maybe at least one more fight in Invicta, I would assume, because she had no damage to her.
Yep, sounds like it. Definitely sounds like it.
We'll go with the 255 winners and losers. We actually talked about them earlier. 255 winners. Shevchenko. Who do you have fighting Shevchenko?
So these all kind of tie together since they're all in the flyweight division, right? So, Valentina, I mean, in a perfect logical world. So this is, if it's up to me, should I do what I would do or what I think will happen? That's what it comes down to. So, I mean, the question is, what do you do? So I would do Valentina versus Lauren Murphy. Lauren Murphy has earned the title shot, in my opinion, with this winning streak that she is on. And then, so that would mean, but then it's kind of tough because Chukagian's in a weird spot, being still one of the top fighters, but having recently lost to the champion, and then, somebody who just came into the division and skipped her, jumped the line, which is totally fair by Andrade doing that. So, I don't know. I mean, I'm more interested in the Andrade versus Shevchenko fight than the Murphy one. But I think that for the sake of kind of adjusting everything, and because Chukagian won, it kind of screws things up a little bit. So in that case, I would do Valentina versus Andrade, and then Murphy Chukagian rematch, and then for Antonina, I'm not quite sure about her. But as for the losers, I don't hate Calvillo versus Maya. I think that's maybe a tough one for Calvillo after, just losing like that. And she probably shouldn't fight an opponent higher ranked from her after that loss. So I don't know. Maybe you could do Calvillo versus Antonina. I mean, there's a whole lot of interesting options at flyweight now. So I don't know. Tell me some of yours before we finish it off.
Yeah, I think that I think for Valentina Shevchenko, Andrade is the way to go,
and that's what Dana wants, obviously.
Yeah, and I mean, we've talked about it. I do think that Andrade is the way to go for her. She's clearing out the division. Andrade is number one ranked fighter. She's a former champion. She's a killer. Will she do anything different to Valentina Shevchenko that others have done? I think she does. I think that she puts more pressure on her because of her just the way that she fights. She's a pressure fighter. We saw what she did to Rose Namajunas. She picked her up and dipped her on her neck. She's a monster. She might be 4'9", but she's built like a tank, right? So Valentina Shevchenko will obviously have the length advantage, but
everybody does.
Right, but literally everybody who fights Andrade has the length advantage, so it doesn't even matter. That's the fight that I want to see for Valentina Shevchenko, and I think that's what the UFC does because that's what Dana White said. The other Shevchenko sister, I don't know, maybe let's look at the rankings really quick. Maybe
when Marina Moroz comes back, let's
Joanne Calderwood would be fun. I would like to see Calderwood and Shevchenko go. Maybe Calderwood's too far ranked, high up ranked. She's number 7, while Shevchenko's number 14. I think that would be a fun fight, though. Um, um, and then who am I missing? I'm missing Lipsky.
Yep.
I don't know what they do with Lipsky. That's weird because Lipsky, she had her shot at a top 15. She ruined it. She needs to fight somebody who's unranked now. What is up, Stamina? You made it an hour into the show. My boy.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's the Grasso and Barber winner potentially. Life after death here chiming in. Good to see you, sir. Mentioning Grasso,
Yeah.
but yeah, has to get that very interesting fight too. So
Yeah. But Chikazian, boring as fuck. Lauren Murphy would be good, but again, I don't know if Lauren Murphy even takes that fight. She thinks that she's a title challenger.
I mean, yeah, she's got probably the best case for it, like I was saying. So yeah, good question there from Head Kick Steve, who I'm not sure if he's still hanging out in here, but thank you
Pretty
for
quiet.
that one, sir.
Yep.
And then we did get another question from Cody that we could just say real quick in terms of he asks who will be the next champ, which is kind of a hard one. The easy answer is probably Adesanya, just because he's getting a champ opportunity next. It sounds like so.
Yeah.
Will he win that? Don't know.
Yes.
Could he win that? Very
Yes.
possible.
Is Aaron Jackson? Aaron, before you talk, Izzy's beating Jan. He is. I know Aaron is a huge Israel Adesanya fan, so I know that he's going to say something in the chat. Before you even say anything, yes, Aaron, yes, Israel Adesanya is going to beat Jan. He's going to be a champ, and then I hope we see him and John Jones mix it up. Man, I hope we see that fight. I want to see that fight. I want to see that fight. I want to see that fight. I'm done with the bullshit on Twitter. I'm done with it. I want to see them mix it up. I want to see them go. As far as Wiley is champ. I wouldn't.
Let's work on the strawweight division first.
I wouldn't. Yeah. She has a lot of work to do. She has a ton of work to do. A lot of work to do, man. Okay, so Yusuf asked the question: do you agree with this statement? Val is a better MMA fighter, but Antonina is better in kickboxing, Muay Thai. Absolutely.
Yeah, we've been saying that kind of for weeks.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Antonina's Muay Thai is phenomenal. Like, she's very, very good. And then he asked another question: will Nunes versus Anderson be similar to GDR fight, or can Anderson stop the takedowns? It's hard to stop those takedowns.
Yeah, it's probably pretty similar to that, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, that's really the question, right? We all know that Megan's absolute best chance is on the feet. Even though she's been showing some submission skills and at least a win recently and some improved ground game and whatnot, we just know that she's definitely her best as a striker. So, yeah, I mean, that's a great comparison to what it could look like. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
We'll
Amanda
see.
Nunes
Whenever it happens.
yeah, Amanda Nunes is a monster. It's hard to see anybody beat her at this point. It's just really, really tough to see anybody beat her. I don't care who it is.
Indeed.
But everybody has a shot in MMA, so I mean. Yusuf asked another question: will a fight between Antonina Shevchenko and Joanna at 125 be competitive due to both being 10-time Muay Thai champion and Joanna likes to keep fight standing? That would be a fun fight, but
At flyweight, though, it would have to be Joanna going up.
yeah, because Shevchenko, she would be, like I said earlier, she would be an absolute skeleton at 115. Like it would not be good to see. It wouldn't even be good to see her like that. Like she would be depleted, I think.
Yeah, it would. it's a rough one. I can't see that happening. And the thing about that potential matchup, as exciting as I think it would be and everything, I don't think there's any point for Joanna for that fight to be made, right? I mean, it would be cool if, let's say, if Antonina can work her way up or something, and then Joanna wants to come back to flyweight, which why not? But yeah, don't know how realistic the chances are of us seeing that one happen. But yeah, I think that's a fantastic matchup. So
Yeah, it would be fun. I mean, I would love to watch it, but I just don't. I don't know. I don't think that we'll see that fight happen. Unfortunately, it would be fun though. Also, what's this thing about Shevchenko, Valentina saying that her mom's a shadow boxing Muay Thai champion or some shit? Like,
shadow boxing.
what is Muay Thai shadow boxing?
I mean, it seems pretty self-explanatory. It's a very
I
silly thing.
literally don't understand what shadow boxing Muay Thai is.
That's hilarious.
Okay, so Samina said at 125, I think Joanna outvolumes Antonina. Not even a skill disparity, simply that Joanna has a way higher output. Yeah,
That's a good point.
yeah, I mean, she's just fucking amazing. Like even her fight against Whaley, she was there the whole that entire fight with Whaley. Crazy that was this March. That was literally this year. Seems so far, so long
Yeah,
ago.
it does. It doesn't even feel like it was this year anymore.
Seems so long ago. Yeah.
Yep.
This year has been a different year, man. Like I don't even
Sure.
remember March at all.
All right, guys, we got to move it along. I mean, of course, you can keep asking questions here, but I got other things to do afterward.
I mean, Drake can leave and I'll keep going.
This is true. This is true. But news time. Only two bits of news, two fights that were made, and more flyweights in the news.
Yeah. Andrea Lee and Jillian Robertson are booked for UFC 256 on December 12th. It's a fun fight. I like the fight.
It's a step up for Jillian Robertson, is what it is. So,
Yeah.
man, well deserved. Why not? I'm all for it. UFC 256 coming up here. The next pay per view. I think this was announced a couple days ago. What's it say here? November 20th. It's 5 days ago. And surely they knew about it a little bit before that. But yeah, interesting matchup. Andrea Lee needs the win. I think that's very safe to say. I mean, just
She needs to win, but does she get it? Because Jillian's on one.
if she keeps it standing, I'm very very comfortable with picking her there. So yeah, it's a good matchup, stylistic clash, all that stuff. No problems with it really. So
Yeah, I like it. I mean, they're both ranked 10 and 11 in the rankings. It's in even as far as the rankings go, it's even. But like you said, Andrea Lee probably is the favorite in this fight. Jillian Robertson, if she takes it to the ground, she can sub Lee because Lee would rather stand and bang.
yeah, we know that she's just better as a striker in general. So
But she's not terrible on the ground.
no, not by any means. So
Jillian Robertson's just better.
that she is. She's proven it with all of her submissions and yeah, just in her performances. So
Yep.
all right.
It's a good matchup though because Andrea Lee is the better striker and Jillian Robertson is the better ground game fighter. It's fun matchup.
Indeed. And I didn't realize that these are actually both flyweight news bits. So the second one, did you see this even?
So, so Victoria Leonardo is making a quick rebound against Natalia Silva. That's at a fight in January, actually at the end of January, pretty much February, January 30th. It's a fun fight.
Yeah, no, this is definitely a very interesting one for, the debut of both of them. Victoria Leonardo obviously been doing her thing, and Invicta just got the shiny new contract. Is the contract shiny necessarily? It's paper, but no, she got a contract on Contender Series, And, Natalia Silva, not many people are going to know about, which is fair, but it's kind of crazy. She's got a lot of fights for only 23 years old. A record of 12-5-1, but on a tear lately. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 6 in a row, and finished almost all of them. I mean, not the best of competition. That's kind of what you get with the Brazilian regional scene, but hey, racking up the wins is better than nothing. And then her last loss is to Marina Rodriguez, which no shame in that one. So 9-1 in her last 10. So the record's a little bit deceiving. Should be interesting. And Leonardo is a tough opponent for
Anybody.
her debut. And so yeah, that'll
But
be.
the one thing that Natalia Silva has going for her is she's marketable as fuck. Look at that. Look at her. Very marketable.
Got the seal of approval from Mr. King. All right. So that's all the news. Very quiet this week, as we were saying. Not a lot of news, not a lot of fights, really. But we do have some fights at all.
Where did they find this Natalia Silva girl? UFC just pulling flyweights out of the clouds. Yeah, I mean, if they look like that, I really don't mind, to be honest, Stamina. Really don't mind. Hashtag marketable. Yep.
With the star eyes.
Uh-huh. Fact.
All right. So, the event that we do have this week, Vegas 15.
Ashley Evans Smith returns, and she will be taking on another very marketable fighter in Norma Dumont.
I got the wrong one on there. Yes. Yeah. So this is Ashley's return to bantamweight.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's for both of them, actually. Norma dropping back down to bantamweight because she was a bantamweight who they brought in to fight Megan because they don't want to bring real featherweights in.
Because they don't have any other flyweights or featherweights.
No featherweights to speak of. So yeah, this is kind of a. I'm surprised. I'm surprised that they made this fight, right? I mean, I'm sure we kind of talked about it a little. I don't remember. Maybe we didn't. But Ashley Evans Smith going back up to bantamweight after her flyweight stint, and she has not fought in quite a while. February 2019, when she lost that fight to Andrea Lee. Maybe I'm assuming the cut was just too much for her, and she's kind of taking some time, or maybe it was an injury because just 2 fights: the Beck Rawlings win in 2018 in April, and then the Andrea Lee loss after that. But
she has a highly entertaining podcast. If you guys haven't listened to it, Ashley Evans Smith, really entertaining. She talks about fights and she talks about a lot of sex. It's really is my cup of tea. To be honest, I like fights. I like sex. So I mean,
so hand in hand.
And you have me on, Ashley.
I love the casualness of how you said that. But yeah, no, this is weird that they made this fight, in my opinion, because Ashley Evans Smith, just the experience edge, pretty decent in her favor, right? I mean, she's fought literally some of the best bantamweights before she dropped down. Raquel Pennington, Marion Renault, Caitlin Vieira. I mean, in terms of opponents she's fought and just how long she's been around, who she's beat and everything, it's a big advantage over Norma Dumont, who only has 5 fights and then just got dropped on her ass by Megan. But that was at featherweight, so I mean you can't judge her too hard for that. Not her natural weight class here, so she'll probably look better. But I mean, taking on an always tough Ashley Evans Smith, who it seems like a tough matchup for Norma, and an interesting, just a weird one that they made for Norma. I think in her second fight, in her return to bantamweight. So I think automatically you just have to favor Ashley with all that we know about her and have seen from her. Just a tough customer, that Ashley Evans Smith.
Yeah, so. I'm really looking forward to how thick Ashley Evans Smith is. She's going up.
You are horny today, man. Jesus.
She's going up 10 pounds. So, I mean, she already looked good. So, I'm assuming that she's going to look great at 135. Norma Dumont is another little hottie. But as far as like the fight goes, yeah, I assume that Ashley Evans Smith is going to be favored. She should be. She probably should be. Dumont didn't show shit against Megan Anderson. Really, I mean, Megan. What happened in that fight? Megan like head kicked her or something, right?
Oh, was that clean right down the
Oh no,
pipe?
right. That's right. It was the right the head kick. The head kick that I'm thinking about was the damn toe to Kat Zingano. um, but yeah, Ashley Evans Smith should win this fight. I mean, she should win this fight. I would assume, but I mean, again, who knows how Norma's going to do at bantamweight? We don't know. We don't know.
I mean, yeah, it's unless Ashley's really affected by the ring rust, being out for as long as she has, almost two
Almost
full
2 years.
years.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't remember if she got injured or something, but oh,
Well, she.
was
That shit.
supposed to fight Molly. Was supposed to fight Molly McCann actually.
Yeah,
She
and
had a
then
couple fall through actually. Now that I'm looking at it here,
yeah.
wow. He had a string of bad luck with. She's supposed to fight Lauren Murphy. She was supposed to fight Taylor Santos. I forgot all about these. She was supposed to fight Antonina. She's had like 4 fights canceled since. Crazy. Or oh no, that's kind of mixed in between there. But yeah, a lot of cancellations in the career of Ashley Smith, obviously. Ashley Evans Smith. So yeah, I be kind of just you can't. It's hard to judge the whole inactivity thing. Of course, it does play a part, but I think for this fight, she'll probably be fine. I mean, very well rounded. Norma's still a bit of a question mark, but back at bantamweight, that's it. That helps her out, I think, rather than being a featherweight.
Yeah, we
Of
just don't
course.
know what we're gonna see from her. That's the problem.
Yeah, so should be interesting. I'm curious to see how it plays out, but Ashley Evans Smith by unanimous, I think. I mean, it's hard to go against her, just
Yeah,
all things considered.
yeah, I agree. Ashley Evans Smith, unanimous decision.
All right. So I actually got the order for when these fights are happening backwards. This one will be after the one that we're going to now. So
Yes. So Gina Mazzani and Rachel Ostovich are going to fight each other. Another marketable person right there on the right. And Rachel Ostovich. But she probably loses. No, she's not UFC caliber, in my opinion.
all right, I didn't see that coming from you. I mean, to be honest, they're both not really UFC caliber. If we're gonna be honest,
Yeah.
Gina Mazzani.
Yeah, this is a total Invicta fight, right?
That's
Like,
even being rude to Invicta, but
well, you can see them fighting in Invicta. I mean,
yeah. I mean, this is another kind of interesting matchup that they made because right, this is Gina dropping down. It's like she's taking Ashley's spot, going down. She goes up and takes her spot from bantamweight. And Gina Mazzani, pretty good sized bantamweight. I mean,
mhm.
5'6". She just the stats they have the same leg reach, which is whatever. But yeah, the advantages in size is definitely in Mazzani's favor. And I would imagine this would be a pretty tough cut for her because we weren't sure if this was a bantamweight fight or a flyweight fight.
Right.
But yeah, it turns out that Gina is making that drop, and we'll see if it can help her out and kind of reinvigorate stuff. I guess I don't know. I mean, she hasn't looked very good in the UFC whatsoever. But I mean, to play devil's advocate, I guess she's been taking on some pretty tough opponents. All of her losses here. Her debut, Sarah McMahon, Lena Landsberg, Macy Chiasson, Julia Avila. But those losses were all very one-sided, right? And then she did get a win over Yanan Wu, but that fight I remember being pretty boring, and she just kind of controlled her against the cage. So it's like, it's crazy. It's kind of crazy that they have given her so many chances. But hey, maybe going to flyweight is just what she needs, and then taking on Rachel, who, 4-5 in her career, surprising surprising slash not surprising that she's still in the UFC, but she 100% needs a win here. And she was saying that today in the media calls that they were doing, that she expects to get cut if she loses, which should not be a crazy thought. That would be 3 in a row. She'd be 4-6 in her entire career, and then losing to somebody who's not a highly ranked opponent like Gina Mazzani, even though it's in a new weight class. Yeah, that would be fair to say. And I mean, this kind of feels like a loser leaves town fight, no matter who loses, right? I think this is when when it first was broke. That's how we felt about it. Like, okay, somebody's got to go, right? So
MMA by Milken brings up a good point. Gina fight is important to see if James Krause is actually a good coach.
That's a bold claim.
I think that we've seen, with Megan,
Grant Dawson. I mean,
right.
The list goes on. There's only 2 people, but
yeah, that's literally 2 people. So,
Sean Woodson. I mean,
which brings the point that he's making. We'll see if James Krause is actually a good coach or not with Gina Mazzani. I don't think this makes or breaks him as a coach, to be fair. But I think Megan probably will.
Yeah, no, I James is a legit coach indeed. I definitely think so. But yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, since
because her opponent isn't the best either, Rachel Ostovich. Come on, I mean, she's in the UFC not because of her fighting, not because of her fighting.
It's funny because I think that I think I appreciate Ostovich as a fighter, maybe more than you do, which is kind of funny. I don't at all think she's the best or anything like that. I don't think she should be in the UFC at this point or anything. But I mean, you look at the most recent fight, of course, which was over a year ago. It's been almost 2 years now since the Paige Van Zandt fight. I mean, Rachel was winning that fight the entire time. She was clearly winning that fight and just got caught by the armbar at the end. Of course, against Paige, who we know Paige isn't all that she was cracked out to be from her start as well. But then before that, lost to Montana. I remember that being kind of a back and forth. The second round, I think it was one of the rounds Rachel won. It was good. That was, of course, earlier too in Montana. Montana's career, she's developed a bit since then. But yeah, I don't think Rachel is completely horrible. Not UFC caliber, but I think she's good enough. I think she's good enough to beat Gina Mazzani, who could be depleted with this cut. It'll be very interesting to see how that goes. I mean, if she's working with James and, her boyfriend Tim Elliott now, which I'm sure that's the only reason that she's with James. I don't know. Maybe she was with him before. I don't want to say anything incorrect. But yeah, I assume she's got some good nutrition guys because I know the Melee Way. Shout out to Tyler Minton, has worked out with a lot of them, and he's phenomenal. He's been very quiet lately in terms of his social media and stuff, but at least that I've seen. But that guy is one of the best. So, yeah, I don't know. I just think that it's tough, though, because, like I said, Gina has fought some very tough opponents. So she's taking a significant step down, from the Chasons, the McMahons, the Avilas that she has fought. So that makes it a lot harder because you're like, okay, she can beat everybody except for people who we know are good, like for sure. I don't know. I think the size will be a big deal.
Because Rachel Ostovich isn't that great. She's a decent fighter, but like I said earlier, this reminds me of an Invicta fight, and Rachel Ostovich probably belongs in Invicta.
Yeah, probably.
So, Drake, I'm glad that you bring up Paige Van Zandt because Sheena Starr, you know who Sheena Starr is?
I saw this, yeah.
Okay, so she had some really nice words for Paige Van Zandt. This is to quote Sheena Starr. I can't wait for her hype train to be derailed worse than the train that was ran on her at Team Alpha Male. That's a hell of a quote.
That is acid.
I love it.
Acid.
I love it. I love that quote. Those are fighting words. That's literally.
She's not even fighting her, though. I mean, that's just being a fucking asshole, especially with Paige's history. That's pretty, I'm not saying I condone or not condone. Freedom of speech. You can say whatever you want, but
That
I
shit is
mean that's
hilarious.
dark. That's I saw a lot of people did think that was over the line and random. It was definitely random, but
Yeah, it came out of nowhere. That came out of left field, like the cornfields of left field. That shit. That shit came from fucking the fucking trash. Like Sheena Star is she's terrible.
it is a fucked up thing to say. It is, especially I
It's
think just because she's not even fighting her,
it's
right? I
hella
mean,
funny. It's hella funny, but she is trash. She is straight fucking trash, bro. Like that was terrible. Like terrible. Why would you even say that? Like other other than to
get your own attention.
bring your own hype, yeah, to try to take away from what Paige Van Zant is doing with Baron with BKFC, right? Like she's not even fighting Paige Van Zant.
Well, we know that she will be if, if no matter, even if probably Paige loses, even. I mean, because Sheena's not, I think, what she's 1-1 in bare knuckle or whatever. So it's not like she's got a big, lengthy resume or whatever. So
Terrible quote. I think we all agree. Okay, so Aaron said she's trash. Stamina said whack, no ratings for anything like that. Yeah, terrible.
is that in response to what we just said? I'm confused about that comment, Stamina.
Uh,
Ratings. I don't know. But either way.
yeah, you can. I think he's saying that we can't rate that. Like we shouldn't even fucking like give it time of day.
Right,
But
right,
I mean,
right.
this is you brought up Paige Van Zandt, and it was literally said yesterday, and I wanted to bring it up because she's terrible.
Fair enough.
Paige Van Zandt she has her shit going for her in BKFC. Sheena Star was, like I said, out of left field, in the cornfields, like
It's
way.
something a troll would say, right? I mean, those fantastic MMA fans, that is something that they would go to and send in the
Something that we would
DMs.
see on Twitter for sure. Yeah, yeah, in the Twitter comments of like or Instagram comments of like a Paige Van Zandt picture with her and Austin Vanderford.
Something like that. But yeah, so that was good fun. But
That was good fun.
uh,
Good fun.
yeah. Anyway, I was leaning towards Rachel actually before today, but I think I'm actually gonna go with Gina with all things considered now.
Dude, Austin has no chance. Like she's not a good fighter.
I think that if there's a finish, it'll come from Ostovich catching a submission. How about that? I think
Again.
that's pretty reasonable.
Okay, yeah, probably. But I mean, I think that Mazzani probably just takes it to a decision.
Yeah. Yep, I agree with that. I mean, there's not too much to break down about either of these fights, honestly, because they're weird, right? They're weird UFC fights. Let's put it that way. Matchmaking and
Well, this
everything.
one is especially. Ashley Evans Smith and Dumont is okay. I think it's gonna be an okay fight.
Yeah, it should be better than this one.
It should definitely be better than this one. I might miss this one. I don't know. This whole card, like as a whole, it's not that great. It's fun. I mean, there's going to be some fun fights on the card, but I mean, when you look at it, like Curtis Blades and Derek Lewis, you can see Curtis Blades just wrestle fucking Derek Lewis. You know, like it doesn't have a ton of appeal to it.
Yeah.
Derek Lewis could knock him out, but does he? Maybe. I don't know.
Not a great stylistic matchup for Mr. Lewis.
Yeah, it's a terrible stylistic matchup. It's Blades is gonna wrestle fuck him and piss Dana White off again.
Hey man, you keep putting him in the main event, Dana. So hey, it's all on you. But yep, All right, taking officially, Mazzani by unanimous decision. It'll be something. It'll be something. You know,
Something.
it'll be something. It'll be a fight.
Yeah, we get to see a fight, right?
We get to see a fight.
We get to see a few
We get to
fights.
see couple fights. The UFC's not taking a break for the holidays, so
Neither is Mike
that's
Tyson and Roy Jones Jr., baby.
Jesus.
Here for Mike Tyson.
All right. What do you got? Anything coming out, Steve? Any MMA inks? Any something?
Yeah, I'm gonna watch Mike Tyson fight
All
on
right.
Saturday.
Okay. For free, or you paying for it?
There's no fucking chance that I pay for that shit.
Whoever does pay for it, no offense to anybody listening who might pay for it, but you're a dumbass. That's the only way to put it. Sorry, that's how I feel.
It could be like on the prelims or like the undercard or whatever they call it. It
There's
could be
only like 5 fights, right? It's not that big.
and a lot of music, like fucking who's there? Wiz Khalifa, I think, and then who else is there? Wheezy. I think Wheezy's there.
Because they're gonna have. Are they gonna have an audience? No, they're not gonna have an audience.
No, it's at Staples Center though.
Right.
But with no audience.
Right. Well, all right. As for what I got going on, because I see we've lost our entire audience before the outro here. See you guys next time. Thanks for hanging out.
Bye.
Bye. Happy Thanksgiving.
Somebody showed up.
Came back. So I recently spoke to Luana Pinero, who Steve got a live reaction from Steve. What was that, 2 weeks ago when she beat Stephanie Frausto? Caught up with her after the win.
Did you hear how frantic I was? I was like, ah!
No, yeah. I was like, Steve, my other show, he was freaking out about it.
Dude, it was good. It was good.
It was very good. Yeah, it was fun talking to her. Thanks to our boy Alexander, too, who shows up every now and then. Aaron's like, I'm still here. We see you. Thanks to Alexander for helping out with the translation of that one again. Luana, very cool. Check that out on my MMA news, and it's on my YouTube, of course, youtube.com/Drake Riggs, and on my Twitter @DrakeRiggs_, and follow Steve as well @SteveK_MMA. The Scrap The Scrap News, as we said earlier, to Cody. Oh, maybe our numbers are off. Everyone's like, we're still here.
Yeah, it's weird. It's literally saying that there's one person watching, but Stamina is saying here, Aaron's saying here. I don't know who else is here. Head Kick Audio Steve said happy Thanksgiving foos. Good night. But yeah, thank you, Stamina, Aaron, Yusuf, Steve, Head Kick Audio, and Milton,
Life
Cody,
After Death.
Life After Death. We had a few people drop in today, which is nice. We didn't have any of the girls this time, but
Can't win them all. Until next time, everybody.
Until next week, I hope you guys have a great holiday weekend. I don't celebrate Thanksgiving because I'm Native American, and well, we don't exactly have the best history with this holiday that is going on this week. But I hope you guys have a great weekend, and leading up to next week, we will talk to you guys next week. Thank you for tuning in this week. Have a great week and weekend coming up.
Peace.
Later, y'all.